What's up guys, it's Josh from KeepItTechie, and today I wanted to do a quick video showing you guys Lynis. Now, as I stated in the intro of the video, I want to talk about an application that I found called Lynis. And I'm not talking about Linus Torvalds, the person that actually created Linux, but Lynis, the application. It's basically a security tool that I found while I was browsing GitHub. And it was created to do auditing on Unix-based distributions. And I just wanted to go on and install it and play around with it. This is the first time I'm actually using this tool, and I'm not sure if it's included in Kali Linux, but it's basically a security tool / auditing tool that can audit your Unix-based systems. So let's go ahead and go to the GitHub so we can read a little bit about it. Okay, cool. So I'm at the link, the GitHub link, and I'll put this link down in the description of the video. But let's read a little bit about it. It basically says Lynis, security auditing tool for Linux, macOS, and Unix-based systems. Assists with compliance testing, HIPAA, ISO 27001, PCI DSS, and system hardening agentless and installation optional. And I thought this was a cool application because I currently have what I call a production Linux server on my network that manages or handles a lot of tasks locally. And so I'm gonna run this on my main server and just play around with it and see what it finds. But in this video, I'm gonna run it on a virtual machine. But let's go a little bit further down. It's actually an open source project. It has the GPL 3.0 license. As you can see, it was last updated about 12 days ago. So it's being regularly managed and updated. And they have a team of 144 contributors to the actual project. And if we scroll down a little bit, there is a little bit more information. Let's say it says Lynis is a security auditing tool, and we kind of read that or whatever. It says the primary goal is to test security defenses and provide tips for further system hardening. And that's one cool thing about it. This will let you know if your system actually has any vulnerabilities or any issues, configuration issues that you could possibly, look at and actually fix on your systems. And just to read a little more, it says it will also scan for general system information, vulnerable software packages, and possible configuration issues. Lynis was commonly used by systems administrators and auditors to assess the security defenses of their systems. Besides the blue team, nowadays penetration testers also have Lynis in their toolkit. And it says, we believe the software should be simple, updated on a regular basis, and open. You should be able to trust, understand, and have the option to change the software. Many agree with us as the software is being used by thousands every day to protect their systems. And they do have their own website. I forgot to show you guys that, but we'll go to that in a second. But here are the goals of it. It says the main goals is automate security auditing, compliance testing, vulnerability detection. The software also assists with configuration and access management, software patch management, system hardening, penetration testing, privileges escalation, and intrusion detection. And it says the audience, this tool is actually created for systems administrators, auditors, security officers, penetration testers, security professionals. And then this is pretty much how you actually use the application. You can, just git clone the actual application and then run it from the command line. And I'll show you guys how to do that. I'll run it on a virtual machine so we can just test it out and see how it actually works, because I haven't seen the results for this thing. I haven't ran this script at all. So I don't know what it's actually going to provide. I don't know if it's going to come in a report form or if it's going to just list everything out in a document that's stored in a certain place. So we'll be playing with this together. So now let's go down and go to the virtual machine. Well, actually, I wanted to show you guys their website, but this is the website. It's actually created by CISO-Fi. It's an auditing and hardening compliance, company, which I don't know much about. Oh yeah, here we go. It says in October 2013, our founder Michael Bolian registered the company at the Dutch Chamber of Commerce. So it's been around since 2013, and this is just one of the applications that they provide, as well as I'm assuming they do security auditing and hardening for companies. So check that out, you know what I'm saying? And if you want to contribute to the project, I'm sure they have a donation button. So let's go down and get to the virtual machine and run this actual program and see the results. Okay, cool. So I'm logged into my virtual machine. This is a Ubuntu server 20.04, and this is where I actually run the audit on. Now let's go down and get the software. You basically type git clone and then the link. So git clone, and then also you want to make sure you have git installed on your system, but I'm 100% sure I have git on this system. But yeah, you could just grab the git package or the git repository link and paste it in there, and then let's go down and press enter, and that'll clone it to my home directory, which is fine. And let's go down and wait for this to finish. It shouldn't take too long. Yeah, and we're good to go now. And now that we have it downloaded, let's just go down and cd to that directory, and let's ls the ls right now. You'll see that it's there, so that's the folder you want to go into. So Lynis, press enter. Now let's ls this directory so we can see the files that comes with it. And I'm not going to modify any of this stuff. I just wanted to show you what comes in the actual directory when you download it. But as you can see, the one that's green, that's the executable right there. So that's basically what we need to run. And let's go down and run it right fast. Just run it without any of the options, because you have to run it with options based on what I read in the documentation. But I'll run it without any options just to see, because I was told that it should bring up suggestions on how to actually start the script. So let's press enter there, and this will give out basically a help. So that's real good. It gives you a lot of information on it. So this is the default that I want to kind of show you guys. This is the one I'm gonna run actually, is the audit system. Now you can audit a remote host based on what I see as well. You can audit a Docker file as well, which is, you know, that's cool that they incorporate Docker. And then also you can go, there's a show command, and then there is a update command or update option. But let's go to the first one. Now they do have like some alternative system audit modes. You can go forensics, you can go pen test, non-privileged, show points of interest for pen testing. You can do layout options, miscellaneous options as well. So no color, quiet, reverse color, reverse colors, debug, no log, profile, view man page. So that'll allow you to view the man page, verbose version, wait, and slow warning. And then these are some enterprise options. And also if you run show options, that will give you more options. They have more options available there. And if you have it installed normally, like if this was in one of the repositories, which I'm not sure if it's in any of the repositories, but if it is and you download it from there, then they should have a man page for it with a little bit more information. Okay, cool. So let's run the audit system. So basically all you have to do is type audit system and press enter, and it should go through a non-privileged scan. And it probably won't take that long on this system because this is a virtual machine. I don't even think I have a web server installed on here or anything really installed on this system. But as you can see, it has some unsafe things it's finding, which is super cool. So I mean, let's see what else is going on with it. But this thing is very in-depth. It's checking everything, you know what I'm saying? I seen where it went into certain areas of the system that you typically don't see. Okay, cool. So let's scroll through this actual report. I'm gonna start at the top. Let me go down and go back up to the top of the outputs, and let's just start from the top and let's see what happens. Okay, cool. So we at the top, and this is when it initialized. This is what it showed, non-privileged scan mode. So it changes based on if you run the actual command using the sudo command. You would have to modify the permissions of the file to actually run it as sudo if you download it the way I downloaded it. But some of the first things it do is detect the OS, and check the profiles, and then it spits out some information about the actual program itself, and then the operating system that is running on top of, kernel version, and all that good stuff. And then it also creates some log files. This is one thing I wanted to show you guys. It says Lynis log, so that log file is generated in my home directory. And then let's just scroll down a little bit. It says no updates, so that's cool that it checks to see if it needs any updates. But then also it has plugins. It says plugins have more extensive tests and may take several minutes to complete. So they must have some plugins, and they pull in the plugins based on what's on the system by them scanning the system. So that's cool. And then here we go. It goes through the boot and services, and it tells you things that are unsafe. Now, I'm not 100% sure. Like I've said, I'm not no cybersecurity professional, so this makes sense to me, but I 100% don't know how to mitigate a lot of these things if it's saying that it's something that's unsafe. So I don't know what that means by unsafe. I'm assuming it's something that you can go in and change in the server. A lot of this stuff you can't, from what I know about Linux, just running system D, that a lot of these services are tied to the operating system. You can't get rid of them or stop them because they're tied to the the OS. It'll shut down. But then that's cool. It says, and then I'm not sure what this is, but it says it's exposed, so I'm gonna check that out. I'll check that out a little later, but it's the systemd udevd.service. It says it's exposed, so I might look into that, what I'm saying, but not on this system because I don't care about this virtual machine. But when I run this on my production server, then if it brings up something like that, I'm gonna check a lot of these vulnerabilities, and I might do another video where I go through what I did to mitigate some of this stuff if I found that it needs to be mitigated or fixed. But then right here is a kernel. This is the kernel section, so it goes through the kernel and checks certain things in the kernel. It says checking default run levels, checking CPU support, and a lot of this stuff, I mean, it doesn't matter. Like I said, this is a virtual machine, so I can easily delete the whole machine. But on a physical box, it's different. You want to fix these type of issues, whatever issues that may pop up. But cool, it says it checks if it needs a reboot, and then memory and processing. So it checks the memory, searching for zombie processes, not found. So none not found. That's good. And then here we go, some more information right here, but this is all under user groups and authentication. So it says administrator account okay, unique IDs okay. So that's cool. It checks for unique identifiers for user accounts, so that's cool, and unique group IDs. So just verifying that there are no duplicates out there. I'm assuming no duplicate group names as well, so that's good. And then it says password file consistency. So most likely that's saying you need to probably update your password policy, because right now this stuff is default, so there is no password policy, but you can obviously set one on a Linux server, and this will force people to change their passwords by a certain date, as well as the complexity of the password, which is something good, especially if the server is exposed to the internet. And then we go down, let's see, LDAP modules, accounts without expired dates, accounts without passwords, locked accounts. It says okay. So shells, and this is if you have like a default bash RC file that is generated for all the user accounts on the system. But anyway, it checks the shells, it checks the file system, and it has some suggestions for it. Suggesting. Yeah, and one of the suggestions it says down here is disable kernel support for some file systems. So if you don't have a file system or a particular file system, then you can disable kernel support for that. So that's one way of fixing some of the problems or locking down your system. If we go down here, it says USB devices. You can actually turn it off or disable USB devices. And then the storage, it says checking firewall, OHCI driver disabled, NFS daemon not found, name services. So this is just some DNS information or DNS services, like the resolve.config host file as well. So let's scroll down. It says ports and packages, found. Okay. And then networking. This is the networking section. It says checking for IP version 6 configuration, say enabled. And I typically turn off IP version 6 on my servers, but here we go. It says checking configure name servers, testing name server, and that's all based on if I'm assuming if DNS is enabled on this server. And then this is DHCP, so if it has DHCP installed on this server, I guess it would show something here as well. So nothing is there. Printer, I don't have cups enabled, it's not on here. I don't have any email on this server. The firewall, it found the firewall, so I'm using IP tables as well as checking host-based firewall is active, so that's cool. And then I don't have a web server installed on here, so that's why it doesn't find anything. But this is cool that it checks SSH support, and it found the SSH configuration, but it doesn't really give you much information from here. And like I stated, this is mainly like an information gathering tool. It also gives you some information on things that you could probably fix if need be. And here we go, login and files, checking for running log daemon, it's okay. Journal status found, or assist log status found, log directory, static list, open log files done, deleted files in use, checking deleted files in use, insecure services not found, okay. In the banner and identification, which if you guys don't know, the issue file is a banner that pops up when you log into a system or via SSH. You'll see the banner pop up, and I'll show you guys that on my server. Okay, cool. So I'm not gonna go through the rest of this because it's pretty long, but I wanted to go down to the bottom and just show you guys these suggestions. So based on what it found, it gives you suggestions at the bottom, but it says right here, great, no warnings, but it does have 35 suggestions that you could do to fix your system. So I would go through these, and they have links to actual websites that can help you fix some of these suggestions that they point out to you. And actually, let me click on one of them, just see what happens, or actually go to one of them. Like this one is the Grub bootloader or something like that. So let's copy the link address and then go over to my web browser right fast, and I'll paste that in there right fast so you guys can see what I'm going to. Okay, it says set bootloader password, and it says how to solve. So it does give you information on how to set the password on Grub, which is super cool. So each one of these suggestions that they give you, you know, they give you links and information on how to actually mitigate them if need be. So that's super cool. And if we scroll down, let's see, it says Lynis security scan details. So hardening index 62, tests performed 243 tests, plugins enabled 2, components, firewall, let's see, malware scanner, no. In scan mode, it did a pen test, non-privileged, and it says Linux modules. So these are the modules that were used. And then it also generates some log files, as well as a DAT file, so a report data file. And then also, these are a few of the tests that it did not run because I wasn't running it with a privileged account. So as you can see, you know, it would have looked at syslinux as a bootloader, UEFI mode, check if the system is booted in UEFI mode, check groups and shadow group files, password hashing method, ownership, expirations. So that's why I didn't check to see the expirations of the passwords, ACL support, and a couple other things that it didn't, check, like the firewall and cryptography checks that it would have ran if I had a privileged account when I ran the thing. So that's pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. And one thing about this actual application, if you're running Ubuntu, it's in the repository. That's one thing I didn't explain in the beginning of the video, that it is in a repository. I didn't know that when I first went to the GitHub, but then I searched the Ubuntu repository and it is in that repository. I'm not sure if everywhere else is at as far as distribution goes where you can install it, but I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Like I said, this is something new that I'm trying to add, add more cybersecurity videos into the mix, because I know it's a lot of people that are trying to get into the cybersecurity field, and I just want to show people a few tools and some of the things that you would actually be doing as a pen tester, like some of the tools that you would actually use. And I'm sure this tool is something that's in a pen tester's toolbox as far as auditing Linux servers, because you're gonna run into Linux boxes at some point in your career. So it's best to test out these tools and understand how they work, like what we did here tonight. I didn't know anything about this tool until I actually installed it and started looking at some of the documentation on it. So that's the way it works in the real world. You have to use this software in order to understand how it can help you with your job in cybersecurity. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please like, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you have any questions, leave comments down in the comment boxes below. And of course, keep it techie.